Hermes has a new creative director for menswear, Grace Wells-Bonner. We all know Hermes, but have you heard about Grace Wells-Bonner before? Outside of fashion circles, it's probably not a name that is very well known, but I'm sure you have seen her designs because she's one of the major drivers behind the hype around the Adidas Sambas, because since 2020 she has been designing these iconic limited editions that sell out really fast. She also designed Lewis Hamilton's Met Gala outfit this year, and she succeeds Véronique Nichanian, who had been with the brand for 37 years. And at first, I think industry insiders actually believed that Hermes would fill that position with an insider from Hermes itself. But others already said it was not a surprise that they chose somebody like Grace Wells-Bonner. So I would like to look into the path of this British designer and also why she can be a very good fit for Hermes. Before I start with the details, I need to do some housekeeping here. This is a non-sponsored video. I'm just sharing my personal opinion and my research here. Everything I say is alleged and for entertainment purposes only. It has been a period of a lot of changes within the fashion industry. Some people call it the musical chairs of creative directors. And among these new appointments, Grace Wells-Bonner is one of the few women. But more importantly, she has a very strong link to craftsmanship and the arts, and we are going to see that later in the video. Hermes is also known for craftsmanship and the arts. Think about their famous carres, where they constantly collaborate with artists for the designs. I also did another video about this. So this is already a very strong link between the two. And Pierre-Alexis Dumas, who is the general creative director of the brand and also comes from the family, said that exactly this interest for the arts and her creative mindset and approach were a reason why they chose Grace Wells-Bonner as creative director. And it's actually quite funny because in 2019, Grace Wells-Bonner gave an interview. She was in conversation with art expert Hans-Ulrich Obrist, and he asked her about her future plans, ambitions, and she said she wants to have her own label, but she would also find it really interesting to work for a heritage brand like Hermes. She even said Hermes in that interview, so I think maybe it was manifesting that it now happens 6 years later. Grace Wells-Bonner has a very strong link to the arts. I would not say this is something unique to Grace Wells-Bonner because it's kind of logical. A lot of creative directors also work with other fields of art. I also mentioned this when I talked about Mathieu Blasi at Bottega Veneta, for example. But I would say her link is even more because she not only gets inspiration from other fields of art or incorporates them in her designs. If we apply art lingo now, I would say she creates a Gesamtkunstwerk, like a comprehensive work of art involving all of these different dimensions, and fashion is one way of expression for her. So we have this artistic link, but maybe more importantly for Hermes, Grace Wells-Bonner is also a creative who understands business. She's able to create hypes, and she proved that with the Adidas Sambas, because since 2020 she has been reimagining these iconic sneakers. They were actually made to play soccer on the fields when they are icy and snowy, and they go back to the 1940s, and later on they were adopted by the German soccer team, the national team. And she took this design and basically put it into the 2020s, and there's such a big hype around these sneakers. They immediately sell out, and then on the resale market they sometimes achieve triple the price. So she already shows that she can create something fashionable, linked to the arts, but also sell. And ultimately, Hermes is a business. Their leather goods is the major driver for their business. And maybe with Grace Wells-Bonner, they want to use this expertise of talking to the younger generation, creating these hypes, to also incorporate it into the heritage brand. Because let's be honest, Hermes still stands for classic craftsmanship. Of course, we now have these discussions about the rather omnipresent Birkin bags, which is a different topic, but I'm sure they also need to venture into other target audiences, and maybe they look at other brands like Dior or Louis Vuitton, for example, who have done this, and they want to use a creative like Grace Wells-Bonner to attract these new audiences. So who is this Grace Wells-Bonner? It's a bit difficult to find out information about Grace Wells-Bonner, the person. Some people call her an enigma because she does not have her own social media presence, so I assume she wants to let the works speak for themselves. And also probably she does not want to be in the limelight or overshadow her designs. It's a different approach to some of the rock star designers, for example, What you can find a lot is interviews, especially about this art dimension. There are YouTube videos, there are podcasts, also written interviews, and they are really interesting because she describes her approach in a lot of detail. So even if you are not necessarily a fan of her fashion designs, you will be able to understand what she wants to express with them. Grace Wells Bonner was born in 1990. She grew up in London and has two sisters. Her father with Jamaican heritage, being a lawyer, the mother a business consultant, and she's English. And at the core of her designs is exactly this mixed race heritage that she works a lot with. She also said up until today a big source of inspiration is her childhood in London, because when she took the school bus from Dulwich to her school in Tooting, she saw how different communities came together, how they mix different styles, and this is also exactly what she does with her fashion design. She studied at Central St. Martin's and then also did a placement year at British label Madame Kirkhoff, which is not around anymore. She also worked as an assistant to Camilla Nickerson, senior fashion editor at American Vogue in New York. And she actually said in interviews that in the beginning she was actually not sure if she wanted to become a designer or a different artist, but soon she learned about the pace of fashion and she was really drawn to that. And when I did my research about her professional path, I have to say it's truly impressive, because already her collection was presented at the Victoria and Albert Museum by all black models in 2015. Right after graduating, she founded her own label, Wales Bonner. And then soon after, she immediately won prizes. So in 2016 already, she won the LVMH prize, which is a very big prize in the industry. In 2021, she won the CFDA award. And this year, one of her velvet suits was exhibited at the Metropolitan Museum of Art during Superfine Tailoring Black Style, this blockbuster exhibition which is linked to the Met Gala. And she's relatively young. She won all these prizes, then also this exhibition at the Metropolitan Museum. This year she also designed for celebrities like Lewis Hamilton or FKA Twigs for the Met Gala. And she actually started out with menswear. We also see that the black male identity is a core source of inspiration for her designs. In 2018, she added women's wear. And I would say when we look at her designs, we can see that she probably applies the approach that she says, I want my designs to be worn by anyone. So gender is not really the definition. And it's very interesting to learn more about her design approach, or this comprehensive approach. It sounds as if it's a lot of work. She seems to do a lot of research for all of these designs, because she has this interesting mix. It's art and fashion. Then we have tradition, contemporary. We also have tailoring and sports, and all of this is a very unique style, I would say. It's maybe a bit eclectic. It might not be designs for everyone, but it is interesting. It is something different. And what is very important is that she always tells a story. She's really, really good at storytelling. So already her collection, Ebonics, told the story of a broader spectrum of representation. She also was inspired by the Harlem Renaissance. And then the next collection told the story of an Ethiopian slave who traveled to India. And then she looked into the connections of Africa and India. And she did that not only with fashion. She, for example, also looked into the film industry. She looked at Nollywood and Bollywood, the local film centers. So we always see there is this core story, and then she builds everything around it. And then fashion is obviously the vehicle for expression, because she takes everything in. For example, literature, a poem, a book. Or then she adds music, she looks into films. She also spent 1 month in Senegal, for example, to do collages in a village. So it's so many sources of inspiration that come together. She also said she is inspired not only by her own heritage, but also by Savile Row, for example, Notting Hill Carnival. And when she was asked about role models, other designers who inspire her, she said Gabrielle Chanel, for example. I was a bit surprised. This was not the first designer who I would have associated with a designer like Grace Wells Bonner, but she says she appreciates the tailoring, the tradition. I also think that similar to Grace Wells Bonner, Coco Chanel also broke rules, because Grace Wells Bonner said she loves duality. For example, you have traditional garments and then you wear sneakers with them. And I think in a certain way this is exactly what Coco Chanel did a long time ago. She also says she's very inspired by Miuccia Prada because Miuccia Prada is like a mirror of contemporary society. I think because she's also a rule breaker, and Grace Wells Bonner said in an interview that she does not like to be locked in. She wants to do things that are different, and I think when you think about designers like Coco Chanel or Miuccia Prada, this is exactly what they did. And I already said that Grace Wells Bonner probably creates this Gesamtkunstwerk by being inspired by different areas of art, incorporating sound, film, and all of these things. She also curates art exhibitions where she then sometimes is also a participating artist. For example, she did an exhibition at Serpentine in London, but also at MoMA in New York. So we can already see she clearly goes beyond this mere fashion scene. Grace Wells Bonner also said in interviews that she enjoys celebrating with people and that she has the feeling that fashion is sometimes limited to a very small group of people, and she wants to open that up. So she wants to kind of disrupt fashion, and she also said that she admires people who elegantly disrupt systems, and then she gave examples of people who inspire her, like for example writer Ben Okri or novelist Ismail Reed, and she not only admires them, she actively incorporates their works or collaborates with them and their works to bring her fashion to life. Now, why do people say she's such a great fit for Hermes in particular? And I think she gives us the answer herself. In an interview she said, as a designer, she always has to be able to balance the creative expression and the commercial considerations. And this is exactly it. On the one hand, we have Hermes. Of course, they sell their products because of the craftsmanship, the heritage, their link to the arts, but ultimately they are a business. There are commercial considerations behind this. And this is very important, to have a creative director who understands, yes, you need to create something beautiful, something that's linked to the art maybe, but we also have to sell. And the reason why they chose Grace Wells Bonner is probably because she brings in new ideas, she understands younger audiences, and she also knows how to translate these strong artistic ideas into some products that will probably sell. Now, what about you? Did you know about Grace Wells Bonner before, or did you recently discover her because she has been appointed creative director of menswear for Hermes? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please do something nice for us creators. Please don't forget to like this video, also subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. If you prefer to read about fashion, I have a lot of articles on my website, thepinklookbook.com, and if you have time, you can also check out my fashion label Pelagona. And if you enjoyed this overview about Grace Wells Bonner, I have another very interesting video for you. Thank you very much for joining me in this video, and see you in the next one.